A few episodes ago, I performed the McWill rechargeable USB mod on a Gameboy Color. While this was a novel modification, it did have a few shortcomings. First, it used a slightly outdated mini USB format, which has fallen out of favor, and second, there wasn't an LED indicator to let you know when the battery was done charging. Today, we're going to address the latter issue and add an LED indicator light. So sit back, relax, grab a beverage of your choice, and let's see if we can make this pretty cool mod even better. Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Tito and welcome to another episode of Retro Renew. In today's episode, we're going to be adding an LED indicator to this USB rechargeable modded Game Boy Color. Now, there are a couple of shortcomings to this modification, one of them being that it was using a somewhat outdated USB mini port, and secondly, there wasn't really an indicator on the unit to let you know when the battery was completed charging. So we will be addressing the latter issue by adding an indicator LED. So as usual, I'm going to first go over the items you'll need in order to complete this mod, followed by the installation, and lastly, my overall thoughts. Now, I reached out to McWill via email and asked if it was possible to add an LED indicator in order to denote when the battery is done charging. He responded very quickly and provided a list of items I would need in order to accomplish this. He's been very helpful and prompt in answering my questions, and really just a great contributor to this community. So Marco, if you're watching this, thank you for all that you do. So be sure to stay all the way to the end of the episode because I'm going to show some time-lapse footage of how long it takes in order to charge this battery, and as well as some time-lapse footage of how long the battery actually lasts. Now keep in mind I'm actually using a 680 milliamp hour battery for this particular modification, so really depending on the battery you end up choosing for this mod, your results are going to vary. Alright, so I have all the items you're going to actually need to do this mod. Now I have 3 items here, 2 of which are mandatory, 1 is optional. But as you can see, they're very small components, and the first one I'm going to go over is the LED. Now, this LED I actually bought from Boxy Pixel for a different project, but I thought it'd be actually perfect for this particular mod because it already comes with the wires pre-attached to the LED, and the LED is actually quite small, so it really gives me a lot of options for placement. Now, speaking of placement, for the LED, I want to put it in a location that really does not require any further modification to the shell, or at least minimal modification, and also does not further complicate the disassembly and reassembly of the console. I think I have a pretty good idea of where I want to put it, so stay tuned for the installation. Alright, so that's the LED. The next item that you need for this mod is a 1000 ohm resistor. So the resistor is used to actually reduce the voltage and the current so that we don't burn out the LED. I picked this up from Mouser, so if you're interested in purchasing one like this, I left a link in the description below. Alright, so that's the resistor. And lastly, we have some shrink tubing. Now, this is optional, and really all it's going to be used for is to insulate the resistor legs so that we don't create any shorts on the motherboard. Now, you can use other items such as Kapton tape in order to prevent the shorts, but I'm going to go for a pretty clean install, so I'm going to be using some shrink tubing. Alright, so those are all the components you're going to need in a nutshell. If you do want to pick these exact items up, I did leave links in the description below. So in order to do this mod, you're going to need the following items. Please feel free to pause the screen so you can take note of them. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get started. First thing we need to do is attach the 1000 ohm resistor to the negative black wire on the LED. To do this, first apply some flux, then pre-tin the resistor legs. I tape my resistor to the silicone work mat to keep it in place. Now solder the negative black wire which is attached to the LED to one of the resistor legs. It doesn't matter which side. And then solder the small extra piece of wire we cut to the other leg of the resistor. trim the excess leads on the resistor. If you want, you can use some shrink tubing to cover the exposed resistor legs. Kapton tape will also work. Your end result should look like this. I also use some Kapton tape for extra reassurance. So here is the LED with the pre-installed black and red wire that we just attached to the 1000 ohm resistor. Now comes the fun part. Remove the rear shell housing of your McWill modded Gameboy Color. This is where we will be soldering the LED wires. Pre-tin leg 7, which is the third leg from the bottom on the right side, and pin 4, which is the bottom leg on the left side. Now solder the negative black wire with the resistor to pin 7, and the red positive wire to pin 4. Make sure the solder joints are good and strong. Now we need to place the LED behind the speaker grill. I'm using Kapton tape to hold it in place. Be sure to place the LED in one of the holes in the speaker grill. It should look a little something like this. Now reinstall the speaker and the motherboard. In my install, I had a lot of excess wire, so I needed to secure it and keep it out of the way. Your particular mod may differ from mine. Just be sure to keep the wires away from any of the screw holes. Here's the end result after all the excess wires have been secured. Now go ahead and button up the console and insert the battery. Let's give it a quick test. Awesome. And there you have it. The original mod on its own did leave a lot to be desired. I think this kit, with its price point, is a very enticing mod, and I hope it provides a glimpse of what McWill is planning for in the future. Adding the LED indicator light brings this mod a bit closer to being more of a practical product, and is something that I think a lot of people were interested in. Adding this capability is moderately challenging, but if you are able to solder and have a bit of patience, you should be able to accomplish this. The resistor itself cost me 20 cents, while the LED was a bit overpriced at $2. This mod can definitely be done for much cheaper or free if you have the parts lying around. I tried to think of a location to install the LED that wouldn't require any further modification to the shell, and landed on the idea of behind the speaker grill. I think this was a pretty good location since it isn't visible unless the battery is being charged. Also, for those wondering, it does not interfere with the sound at all. With the LED indicator installed, we can now run some good, meaningful battery tests. I'll be conducting 3 tests. One will show the time it takes to fully charge a dead 840 mAh lithium polymer battery, the one installed. The second will show the battery life of playing an official copy of Pokemon Crystal, and the last test will show battery life while playing Pokemon Crystal from a flash card. The McWill backlight kit installed does not allow for brightness adjustment, so that won't play a factor in these tests. Volume, as usual, will be turned all the way down. Okay, let's run the first test, which will demonstrate how long it will take to fully charge a dead 840 mAh battery. So, 2 hours and 13 minutes. Not bad. For this test, I was using an iPhone charger, which is rated at 5 volts, 1 amp. McWill does not recommend deviating from those ratings. Okay, the next test will see how long an 840 mAh battery will last playing an official Game Boy cart. "3 hours and 35 minutes. I think that's a decent amount of time given we are only utilizing one of the battery compartments. If McWill made a follow-up design that utilizes both compartments, that would theoretically double playtime. Alright, the last test. Let's see how long the battery lasts using my Crix flash cart. "3 hours and 7 minutes. That was about what I was expecting. For as little as $2, you can add an LED indicator to the McWill USB Kit and improve this really neat mod for the Game Boy Color. Once again, I'd like to thank Marco for walking me through how to do this mod, and also for everything he does for the retro modding community. So there you have it, the LED indicator mod for the McWill USB Kit. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Macho Nacho Productions. I release content every Thursday, so be sure to turn on notifications. And as always, we'll see you next time.